Hello, me hearties, dinky do. It's just me, Scotty McClue. Can I bid you a very, very warm welcome to our Monday evening phone in, the internet phone in? How amazing is that? Welcome, 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 I say, to the internet phone in for Monday night, Monday, the 13th of December 2021, show number 103. Is that not just absolutely amazing? Welcome, welcome, I say. So lovely to have you with us, and lots to talk about tonight, and so little time to do it in, as per always. So there you are. Now, tonight, our main subject for discussion: should we have two NHSs? Right? That's what we're talking there. Should we have two NHSs? So I'd like to discuss that with you. One to deal with the pandemic, and the other one to deal with people's health issues in general. So it's a thought, isn't it? So, in other words, all this talk about putting strain on the NHS, let's have a separate NHS to deal with the present problems. All right. So, do tell us what you think there. That would be fantastic. And a big dinky do from me, Scotty McClure. Wonderful stuff. Now, we should be with you both on the TikTok and on the YouTube. That is excellent. Hi, Scotty. Hi, Kirsty. How lovely to have you with us. Hi, Scotty. And Martin says, Susan. Evening, everyone. Scotty, Susan, Jerry, DD. Hi, Kirsty. Hi, Suzanne. How are you? Hi, Suzanne, says Kirsty. That's excellent. We all seem to be here now. I hope this time suits you a little bit better. Hi, I'm new. What's your story? My story is the internet phone in, the biggest thing to happen on the internet ever. And it's happening right in front of your eyes. There we are. Fantastic. Have you ever been to Benbecula? No, Gideon. That's a little luxury I've denied myself. Tell me this, Gideon. Why do you like asking me where I've been to and where I haven't? What did we have last week? We didn't have Benbecula. We had somewhere else. I can't remember, but that was excellent. So there we go. Wonderful stuff. Welcome, welcome. If you've just joined us, you're watching Scotty McClue, hashtag FloTie, the first lord of the internet, all in uppercase. Hi, Beachy. I'm okay, thanks, Suzanne, says Susan. Now, is it right that everybody has a chat? Because Numpty Heed was on the other night saying it's spoiling the program, everybody just interacting with themselves and not interacting with the program. So there you are. But let's see what's happening. That's what I would say. A bit at a time. That's what it's all about. Now, this is only the second night of our 8 o'clock phone in. So it might be a bit thin on the ground. Hi, everyone, says Beachy Beachy. Hello, Beachy Beachy. Let's just check if the phones are open. So there you are. Main discussion tonight. Here we are. You're live on Scotty's phone in. Who's that?
Hello, Scotty man, it's Martin.
Martin, my man, how are you?
Very, very well, you?
Yes, no, we're absolutely fine. It's been fantastic, really.
I just thought you found when you start saying you're going to talk about it if you agree with having two NHSs.
Yes, what do you think about that?
I think it might be a bit better to do that, having two, because it might be a lot better to maybe save the country a bit more.
Well, since you've had this pandemic, the poor NHS has been under a lot of pressure. And everybody's on about save the NHS, save the NHS. But the way to save the NHS would be to hive half of it off to deal with the pandemic and the rest to deal with people's health problems.
Yes, I think I agree.
You see, can you see where I'm coming from with that one, Martin?
Yes. Do you think NHSs deserve a pay rise?
Oh, yes, all the time. I mean, I do think they're very poorly paid for the level they're working at. Not the doctors. The doctors are actually quite well remunerated, I think, although that's a very tough gig. I wouldn't thank you for it.
Yes.
But the doctors are well remunerated, but the nursing staff, not quite so much. Mm-hmm. So I think whatever rise politicians get, then the nurses should get as well.
Yes.
You know, if you say politicians are getting a 7% increase, you say, okay, same for the nurses. Sauce for the goose, sauce for the gander. We're all in it together, as our esteemed leader says.
Yes.
You know, excellent stuff. How are you, Martin? Is this time suiting you better?
Yes, this sounds fantastic. I watched your videos with the masks.
Oh, did you like these?
It's funny.
That's what I call a public information film.
Oh yes,
Yes, that's just to get people perked up and realizing it ain't no task just to wear a mask. So get one on.
And I watched another episode of Take the High Road. Dougal was in it.
Ah.
And Son. They were talking about cakes and that, and other bits and bobs.
What were they talking about?
Cakes and stuff, with his son and all that.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's great stuff.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely love Take the High Road, and I'm still downloading your shows every day, so I've got over 103 on my laptop.
Oh, wow. You were funny last night. What were you thinking by putting up the figures?
Eh?
What were you thinking last night by putting up the figures and going 11 watching, 14 watching?
Sorry, I was in YouTube saying that. Sorry, I wasn't in a mood on that day. I was telling you, because I was in keeping an eye on it.
But I can see who's watching. Do you see what I mean? I have all the figures in front of me right now.
I know.
You know?
So that is what I was meaning.
Yes, I wondered if you were in some way trying to belittle the audience.
No.
No, that's not your style. No, excellent. Because you see, the TikTok, we end up with a few thousand watching each night.
Aye, that's because you must be famous, Scotty.
Oh, I must be. I'll have to check.
I know.
I'll have to put myself into the search engine.
So the scary part is 12 days to Christmas. That's how far it is.
That is quite scary, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That is just.
But I hope next year will be hopefully a steady year, and I heard as well you'll be doing a Christmas Eve show, hopefully to get everyone gathered together.
Yes, we might just do that. Keep everybody together Christmas Eve and have a bit of chat.
Yes, and maybe a wee refreshment.
A light refreshment, fantastic. A Scottish water for McClure.
Yes, and a wee glass of orange juice for myself.
For yourself, top man, Martin. Excellent stuff. Listen, lovely to hear you as always, and dinky do.
Thank you, dear. Love you, Scotty.
Love you lots. See you, la. There we are. That's our Martin. Fantastic. You're live at Scotty's phone in. Who's that? Hello? You're live at Scotty's phone in. Who's that?
All right, Scotty. It's Pablo. You okay, mate?
Pablo, la. Are you all right, Lala?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad today, Lala.
Everybody seems to be loving the 8 o'clock because this is only our second show.
8 o'clock is a good idea when the long nights are creeping in.
I think so because it's the internet. I had to work this out. You see, there's no formula for the internet.
Yeah.
It does its own thing. It's a large, unwieldy setup. And you can't guarantee anything on it in the way you can with radio and television.
Well, you've got to cater for lots of other people. I was on another talk show the other day, and you got a shout out to Ice up there.
Hey, fantastic. Was that Alex Belfield?
No, it's a guy who's he's disabled, but he's got his own talk show, and there was a Scottish guy who come on, and he's called John, and he said, why don't you do what Scotty McClure does? He does a topic every night and all that. And I was a second caller after that, and I said, yeah, I've been going on Scotty McClure. I said, have you heard of him before? And he said, no, he hasn't. But I think after them 2 phone calls, if he's never heard of you, I sure will know.
It might be a young lad. What I'm finding out now is people think, I've never heard of you. And then they come back and they go, hey, my dad loves you. He used to listen.
Well, it was a household name, wasn't you, Scottish?
Household name, love. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Now, what do you think of 2 NHSs, Pablo? You're just the man.
Well, this is where we might have to disagree because I don't know what where you stand with it, Scotty.
Right, well, hang on a second. Morning, Duke of Dundee, says Onion Badgie. Evening, Free the Lang Toon, says Brun. That's Kirkcaldy. Hello from Dubai. Isn't that fabulous? Are the calls on? Yes, they are. Can you please make a rule 5 minutes, says Azil. Right. Unless it's an exceptional call, 5 minutes. So you'll be on 10, Pablo. You'll be on 10. Right. Now then, no, I'll tell you where I'm coming from on this. I've been watching the news all day. And we're getting told that the NHS, we've to jab 1 million people a day or whatever, and the NHS is under terrific pressure save the NHS, save the NHS. And I thought, right, if you're serious about save the NHS, start another NHS to look after the pandemic and keep the NHS to look after the cancer surgery, the routine operations, etc., etc. And then nobody loses out. So it means the NHS will be huge and it will be expensive, but we'll have dealt with the pandemic. We'll have got everybody sorted out. And also we'll have looked after the people who just aren't well for other reasons.
Yeah. I mean, if you put it like that, Scotty, and there's investment to do it, and it's not going to collapse the NHS, because my worry is, being someone who's relied on the NHS for a long time and sometimes has to use accident and emergency quite frequently, I see it firsthand that they're struggling to keep up with basic...
Well, this is why it would be so much better for you. So instead of all the beds being filled with COVID patients, they're filled with people like you who actually need urgent treatment. So somebody says, there's Pablo in reception. You go, yeah, get him straight in, please. How long have you been waiting, Pablo? 8 minutes.
I agree with that, Scotty. But there is testing centres out there, aren't they? Doing that in a sense, Scotty, where you go to a local test centre and now where they're jabbing people, it's in local places where you can meet in a car park and get jabbed. I don't know, Scotty.
Yeah, but it's still, they're talking about the NHS is under terrific pressure. They don't want it swamped. And the way to not swamp it would be to split it off, hive it off into two. One half deals with the pandemic, the other deals with your health issues.
I don't know how it would work in a short
Well,
time.
I wouldn't mind paying an extra few quid to get that sorted. And then you think, no, the NHS will cope. It's all sorted.
In an ideal world, that's how you...
Well, we need to start making the world ideal. We need to fight the pandemic. And we need to say, okay, we're going to do that. So we're going to need a much, much bigger NHS.
So what do you think about this pandemic, Scotty? Is it going to be a never-ending pandemic?
Well, it might be. It just depends on how it works. Epidemiology is a very complex process, a very complex science. And, with viruses, you've got incubation periods and things like that.
Yeah.
You see, so it's actually a very complex setup. And it's going to need... terrific handling by the experts. But epidemiology, stuff can turn all the time. And, you can keep vaccinating, and that's one thing, and boosting. But then it'll change. And then people are saying, yeah, but for that particular strain, we don't know about the efficacy of the vaccination.
Well, that was my next question to you, Scotty. Well, like, if it's not an ever-ending epidemic, do you think they're going to be rolling these boosters out like it's a thing where you might have to have them every 6 months because the way, I don't know.
Could well be, absolutely could well be. It just depends on if we can get the cases dropping. But I mean, there's about half a dozen variants already.
Well, that's what they're saying. I was listening not so long ago, but the percentages of people, I don't know what it is in the UK, but the Switzerland call, or what I was listening to, said 33% of Switzerland people are unvaccinated. Do you think that they'll make this mandatory at one point, Scotty?
Well, I think that that would be against people's human rights. Do you see what I mean? You've got to be very, very careful. I mean, there is the Nuremberg Convention. You can't force people into doing things because of what happened in the Second World War. And in Germany already at the moment, they're talking about making it mandatory. And
doing it in Canada as well, Scotty.
Yeah, but you see, that sort of idea doesn't really sit well with how humanity should be. You've got to remember the people vote in the leaders and the governments. So the governments are actually the servants of the people, not the other way about. So everything should go. I mean, today I was watching the British House of Commons. Huge discussion about can we not just be introducing new laws without running it past the House of Commons?
That's never really been done before, that, Scott. You can't just... Well, in a way, they can, because when the first lockdowns happened, they were really throwing laws out in the air, Scotty, and people were questioning, are these real laws?
Yeah, well, you see, you can actually introduce emergency legislation.
But is that not what you call it, Scotty? What's it called when the army take over?
Martial law.
Yeah, is that not classed as martial law?
Well, unless the army take over, if it was the military would take over, but then that they would move the government out of Downing Street, and you would have one of the general officers commanding taking over number 10. So I don't think we're going to that stage.
No. I think at one point people were, worrying and questioning it, especially early on. Everyone's like, do the lockdown, don't be, going out, or you're going to bring martial law. There was a lot of fear about that.
Well, we've all done that, you see, but once you get used to seeing the army around, and we will do because the army are helping out with the vaccinations.
Yeah.
So once you get used to seeing them about, it's a matter of steps, really, isn't it? But I think people would be very uncomfortable in this country if you brought in something mandatory and, against the Nuremberg Convention. And I think also if you brought in the army and cleared out Downing Street. Now, that's not to say Downing Street wouldn't be better run. I mean, there were times when this particular government came in and when the Prime Minister had been accused of misconstruing the truth to Her Majesty the Queen. And I think that that's when people were thinking, should the Queen take over and go back to being absolute monarchy? Because that was drummed out in 1688. They invited William and Mary over from Holland in what they called the Glorious Revolution. And Mary was the daughter of the king of James II, who they'd been fighting. So they'd been fighting, he'd been fighting his father-in-law. But William was brought over, but he was told in no uncertain terms, just to let you know, although you're the king, you're not in charge, the government are.
Yeah, that's what I've always not got my head around, Scotty. Like when we go to war, it's not the Queen. It's normally to do with the MPs and the politics.
But yes, it's the government. You see, war is actually a failure of politics. And the last bastion of politics is diplomacy. Yeah, and if the diplomacy fails, then, that's when it is. And where you'll see diplomacy was the Bay of Pigs, John F. Kennedy, and Anita Khrushchev. And Anita Khrushchev gave John F. Kennedy some fatherly advice. The president of Russia, a communist Russia, giving advice to John F. Kennedy, the president of the free world, and said, young man, do be careful about mobilizing your military because you won't be able to stop them. And I know this for a fact because the military, I have a lot of military connections, and they are very, very efficient and effective at doing their job.
Sounds about right, Scotty, because sometimes, I don't know about the monarchy, but I know the Vatican sometimes has a say on it, like, I don't think we should go to war, because I know that the Pope did speak out about the Afghanistan, I'm sure it was the Afghanistan war, it might have been the Iraq war, I don't know, but he said don't go to war, he sat down with Tony Blair or speak, so other people have a say, but do you think it just comes down to politics?
Well, yes, but, no, what caused the First World War was obviously the tinderbox was the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand at Sarajevo. And that was the tinderbox in the Balkans to set off the First World War. But in actual fact, the Kaiser, who was the cousin of George V. Now, that could have probably been sorted out round the table at Sandringham at Christmas.
Yeah.
They could have said, bring Cousin Billy over and let's have a chat. You see? So from that point of view, but here's an interesting thing. We're talking about martial law, the army taking over. The army's most senior officer, do you know who it is?
No, not got a clue, Scotty.
The Queen.
Right.
Yep. If you look at army lists, right up the top, it says H.M. the Queen. And then it goes into the general staff. Sorry, it goes into the field marshals, the fields marshal. Yep, and then it goes into to the general staff, and you can see who all the most senior people are. Sorry?
Yeah, I think you've learned a lot of people's stuff. I'll have to go back and listen again to soak it all in. But you've learned me a lot. I know. But one last question, Scotty, before I go. Right, obviously he wasn't around in the tuberculosis time, but you know about it, and you also know about the Spanish flu as well. Scott.
Yes, 1918.
Now when we look back on the history books, right, and you've got all them, and then you've got this pandemic. Have we made this one out to be worse? I don't know. Worse.
Well, no, I think we're being very, very cautious. I mean, the Spanish flu killed literally millions.
Yeah.
Just wiped out millions. The First World War wiped out millions. The Second World War wiped out millions.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking the likes of 10 million lives just gone.
Yeah.
You see, now we've got the death toll that's attributed to COVID is what, 150,000?
Right.
The last count.
I'm not with the numbers, but
so I think we've been very cautious, and hopefully we've nipped it in the butt.
Hopefully, because then it won't be as bad as the ones before us. And the thing is, Scotty, the technology's here now as well. Not only vaccines, but like what can help you if your oxygen drops. The NHS are amazing. Now, if this happened 20 years ago, I don't think there'd be as many survivors. Like even me, my partner, and whoever else was.
Oh, listen, for goodness sake, I've got a distant relative who cured tuberculosis.
Amazing.
And he was a lovely man. He went on, he said, well, we cured 16 million people. Nobody believes us, but we did. And he did that by introducing the new drug in 1948 at the start of the NHS.
Really?
Streptomycin. Streptomycin was the drug.
Yeah, my mum was in hospital for 3 months with that, and she was on that antibiotic. I can't remember how many times a day, but she had to be in the hospital for 3 months.
And it was streptomycin she was on?
Streptomycin.
Yeah, amazing. I'm going to have to dash, Pablo. A privilege talking to you as always.
Always a pleasure. Dinky do, Scott.
Dinky do, la. To the telephones, folks. We're extremely busy tonight. Lots and lots to talk about. Lot of comments here. Evening, Scotty. Forgot you changed times. No chat 55, just the second night. Amazing. All right, Scotty, how are you doing? Well, we're doing well, William. Is the new time there, says Geodog. 8 o'clock, Geodog. You're live on Scotty's phone in. Who's that?
Hi, Scotty. How are you doing?
Hey. Hang on. We've got two people. Who's that?
It's me, Glenn Scott.
Come from there, you better.
Yeah, can you put the phone down just now?
Oh, me?
No, you stay on. Gentleman from Barra.
Yeah?
Yeah, can you put the phone down?
Alright.
And I'd phone me back at some point. That'd be brilliant. There we are. Magnus says prologuing Parliament. No, it's actually proroguing Parliament, Magnus. Anyway, yes, Glenn.
Hi, Scott. How you doing?
Hey, great, mate. Dinky do. What do you think of the new time?
I think it's going okay. Scotty ain't affecting me, to be honest. It's still okay, anyway, to be fair.
What's that, La?
It's still okay, to be fair. I don't mind it either way, to be honest, Scott, because you can watch your TV on catch-up, can't you?
Didn't get a word of that. Again, please, Glenn.
You can watch your TV on catch-up.
Oh, you can watch everything on catch-up. You can only get Scotty McClue once in your life.
You're better off watching your live, Scotty, aren't you?
Yes. Hey, listen to this. Here's Jack saying, hey, are you the original Scotty? I am Jack. I am he.
Scotty was the guy who came on the other day, and it was uncharacteristic of him to be like that. He said something stupid, didn't he? On Saturday.
Yeah, lad, the other night he said something about somebody else. Yeah, just a daft boy.
And he had a good conversation with you previously. Didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, he did good chat. He just got it totally wrong. He doesn't understand what a chat show is about and that we don't muck about with nonsense like that.
You were surprised at that then, Scotty, that goal,
I
weren't
was
you?
very surprised at it. Do you know that we've
Yeah.
got 70 people watching right now?
Nice one.
That's all right, isn't it?
Have you put your vaccine then, Scotty, for the next one?
Well, it'll just keep coming and coming and coming. There'll be a next one and a next one and a next one, I think.
What's happening at the minute?
And then they'll maybe combine one. I don't know if they can combine the flu and the boosters and all that stuff.
Possibly.
You know?
Who knows what's going to
But the only thing is, we do have to be careful. There's no point in filling ourselves up with vaccine if it's losing its effect.
Do you think that?
Well, they're saying it's losing its effect for the latest one.
Well, I mean, they're saying that the first two are non-effective.
Yep. There's all that. So we'll have to just see how everything goes.
Scott, so what do you do then? Where do you go as an individual? How do you assess it?
How do I assess it? Well, it's difficult for me because I'm not medically qualified. I'm not clinically qualified.
Yeah.
So I'm just going on the facts.
I mean, when they're setting certain cases out on cancer patients from COVID patients.
Yes.
Which one's more important, Scott?
Well, both can kill you. So it depends on your priority. Do you want to die of COVID or do you want to die of cancer? Or do you not want to die at all?
Exactly.
So and I think that's what it's all about.
It's a double-sided sword, isn't it?
There's Geodog in Africa. I had C-19 badly but survived it. However, I strongly recommend getting vaccinated, says Geodog.
What do you reckon, what you said about them people who haven't had any vaccines at all? That's entirely up to them, Scotty, there.
Well, I think that once you start dictating every aspect of people's lives, then we've lost humanity, haven't we?
What do you think the messages that are coming out, though, saying we want to get everybody done by?
Oh, yes. No, that's the message. We can see the message. We're getting the message loud and clear. But what we don't want to say is, let's take away your human rights.
Are they doing that then, Scotty? They're not, are they?
Well, I think you would do if you made something mandatory.
It's like one of your previous callers, he was saying about certain countries do that, don't they?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. These countries have suddenly become bad countries.
Yeah, so...
Because they're treating their people as slaves.
So we don't want to go down that road then?
I don't think it's the British way. I don't think it ever has been. What does the old song say? Britain never, ever, ever shall be slaves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It does put you in a bit of a quandary though.
Well, of course, everything puts us in a quandary, but hopefully as adults, we make sensible choices.
As individuals?
As individuals, yes. You see, you don't want to stamp out individualism.
Yeah, not one person.
You don't want to be saying as a politician, right, go out and bring in the herd.
Definitely not being sheep.
You know, what? The sheep, yes. Treating us, although that's an insult to sheep, because sheep, as I know well, are highly intelligent.
Yeah. But that term does come across a lot, doesn't it, Scotty, with sheep kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Like we're following the so-called norm, aren't we?
Following the herd. Well, there isn't a norm when it comes to a pandemic, you see.
The majority, Scotty, the majority are following them, aren't they?
You see, when you start thinking this is the norm, then that's where you're cutting down your weariness.
You're going to hit problems.
You're going to hit problems. Now, what I'm suggesting, they're on about the pressure on the NHS. Let's take the pressure off the NHS. Have two NHS.
I don't think that'll happen, Scotty.
Well, why not? I mean, I wouldn't mind an extra few quid. One half does the pandemic, the other half looks after people that are ill.
Can you see it happening financially?
Well, why not? I mean, it would be. Well, look at what's been spent on the NHS already.
Yeah.
Look what got spent on Brexit, 250 billion quid. That could all have gone.
Yeah, definitely.
You know.
They've got their own priorities wrong then.
Well, I think it's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, What's more important in life, though, Scotty?
Well, there's the only true wealth is life. The only true wealth is life. Nothing, even if you're struggling
Yeah.
and you're in a one-room attic.
Yeah, I'm not being cynical or anything, Scotty, when I say this, but everybody seems to be out for themselves.
No, not necessarily.
No, one or two people are like that, Scotty, aren't there?
I think if we can all do a little bit of goodness, I mean, I'm not out for myself. I'm doing the show for you, absolutely free, gratis.
Scotty, I'm not saying you
No,
personally.
but I'm just saying, you're saying everybody's out for themselves and saying, well, I'm not.
A lot of people come out with that, don't they, at times?
You know, people come out with all sorts
Don't they?
Yeah, they absolutely do. I'm going to have to dash. Lovely talking to you. That's our Glenn. Now, who have you got here? Trudy, absolutely. Right, to the telephones as soon as possible. We are extremely busy tonight. Oh, rushed off me feet. Hello, you're live at Scotty's Phone In. Who's that?
Scotty's Kareem, how are we?
Ah, Kareem, good evening, lad. Dinky do.
Dinky do, how are we?
What an amazing show tonight. You want to see the viewing figures for tonight?
I've been listening, Scotty. I've got a tablet, so I've got you on my tablet connected to my TV, and I'm now able to phone, so it should make things a bit easier.
Oh, that's fantastic, Kareem. Excellent stuff. Lovely to hear you. What do you think of my plan?
What plan, Scotty?
My plan is to, the government are talking about save the NHS. Well, the NHS is under so much pressure. I'm saying let's take the pressure off the NHS and let's divide it into two. One half does pandemic and the other half does all the standard NHS business.
Did they not already have something similar in place like that? Remember when they had the SECC, what do you call it, all done up, and they named it after?
They might have to bring that back again, I think, if they want to carry out this rather ambitious plan.
Well, I didn't want to go too much into the pandemic, but what I wanted to mention was that I think, just listening to Glenn there about people out for themselves, I think society's split in half at the moment, Scotty, because you've got half that are willing to do everything and anything to help, and then you've got the ones that I say that are very selfish.
Well, you look at your profession. I'm not going to embarrass you in any way, but your profession is stuffed full of very caring people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's it, and it's huge. And these are the people in loco parentis of our next generation.
Correct. Yes.
You know, and they're very responsible and very thoughtful and very kind. They might not always appear that way to some of the young people, but that's what they are.
Yes, I agree.
Jack says here, man, I remember you from the 90s radio when I was in the big house.
Yeah.
He was in the slabber.
Oh, dear.
What about this, Kareem? This is amazing. Elise says, how about people looking after their own health? Vitamins, minerals, good food, water, and exercise. The most important thing, though, is happiness and a positive mental attitude. You can't really argue with that, can you?
Do you know what the most important medicine is, Scotty? Laughter.
Laughter. And we do lots of that on here.
Absolutely. Well, Scotty, I find it very confusing because when this pandemic started, people criticised all governments saying that they're being reactive, they're too reactive, this is why we're having lockdown, blah, blah, blah. Now it appears the government are being proactive, they're planning ahead, and people are criticising them for doing that. Now, the way I see it is that, okay, people are saying, well, you did a very good explanation earlier on about the vaccine, but at the end of the day, if more and more people get vaccinated, if more and more people wear masks, if people are sanitising, it's going to help in the long run.
Well, it will eventually get weak. All viruses get weak. You know, I mean, this was the thing about the AIDS virus. It was very dangerous and it killed people when it came out or when it was discovered and named and what have you. But it was very weak and it couldn't live for very long outside the body.
Right, okay.
You see, and that's what was very interesting about it. So that virus floating about couldn't just suddenly jump across and infect you.
No. But my point being anyway, Scotty, regarding that, I just think people have to step back and calm down. The government are trying to, at the end of the day, it's exactly what you said, Scotty. If they don't do anything just now and they take a reactive approach again, then the infection rate will go through the roof. The people might not die as much as when it started. However, it means hospital admission is going to go through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to affect everything else, which will cost lives. So there's a lot of people that I feel, because I'm reading a lot of it in social media, are being extremely selfish regarding, well, I'm not going to lock down, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. Everything's being put in place to prevent another lockdown. And I'm very happy to wear my mask, and I'm very happy to sanitize and to social distance.
Absolutely, Kareem. I couldn't have put it better myself. Elise has got number 2 here. Positive mental attitude is enhanced by love and connection to family, friends, and community. I can't argue with this lady at all.
No, I think that's a very valid point. And if we want to look at something positive out of this pandemic, I think it's brought a lot. It has brought people together locally.
Yes.
Like my neighbours, we're all closer now, and they're elderly. But I go out my way. If they need something from the shops, I'll go. If they need help with something, I'll do that. And I just
Yes.
think.
And if every single one of us does something with a little bit of thought and love every day, the world suddenly becomes better.
That one wee thing, Scotty, I always say, do your good deed for the day. Even if it's letting somebody out a junction when they're driving,
Yes.
that makes them happy.
All the time I do this, Kareem. I see people, sometimes I've tried to get move lanes on the motorway. Oh,
yes.
Mr. Dafty or Mrs. Dafty decides to sneak up and not let you out.
Correct.
And I always let them out because it's a few seconds. So they get a flash of the lights, even when they're trying to do a quick nip and everybody has to slam on. Flash of the lights, on you go. Yeah. You might be right, Sis Kirsty. It's gene therapy technology. Oops, I don't know about that. So there we are. Fantastic. Now, what do we got here? It has been 5 minutes. There we are. We've got all sorts of great stuff here. The Queen still has the power to dissolve Parliament. Yes, she does. She's the field commander. Absolutely. We don't have a field marshal because we're not at war. Yes, but we do have, there are about half a dozen fields marshal, or field marshals in the British Army.
Yeah. Scott, my last point is, which I find quite interesting, it's kind of a jump from the main topic, I think, tonight, back to independence again.
Mm-hmm.
Just very briefly on it, because I know I do tend to raise it up a lot,
mm-hmm.
but I think within the Yes movement there is a bit of anxiety. And there was an article in one of the newspapers, which I normally tag you in, I won't name it.
Brilliant. Kareem, we've got a wee problem here. Can you phone me back? I'm going to drop down this broadcast and bring it up again.